Today's video is just going to be a short, important update from the Zenith team that everyone needs to know. It could dictate the future of the game and even this channel. The Zenith dev team Ramen VR finally completed their funding, and in total they've raised $35 million. They've already made an article and a Discord post. I'll link the article in the description, but nonetheless this is very good news, because Zenith VR is not in a good state, and even here it's not getting too many views anymore. And hearing this just brings hope to the game that it'll bounce back. In short, the way to describe it is they get more money to make the game good faster. Which is true, they're hiring, so they're going to get more employees, which will make things go faster and more efficient. Some of the key points they mentioned is that they want to add new leveling and endgame content, and that they'll never sacrifice VR immersion for the sake of being cross-platform. It is good to see that endgame content is a planned thing coming, because that is probably what drives most people away from the game. Because in Zenith, there is a game, but that game is not endless currently. There is an ending to Zenith, which generally is not really what you want to see in an MMO. And I was going to make a video basically highlighting the issues with Zenith and what I think can be done to fix it. But after this news drop, I gained more hope, and I think I might just highlight it shortly here, because I still have faith in the game and would rather make challenge videos, even if they don't get enough views. And even in its low state, I am committed to this game and I will keep making content on it, even if it's a little more slow. But for the issues, I asked my Discord server on this, and there are some pretty common repetitive answers. It was pretty much endgame content, excessive grindiness and repetitiveness, and the lack of social or PvP features. And two more points I brought up were the lack of updates and the change from beta to release. With endgame content, there really is none except for grinding for armor. Pretty much once you get level 40 on all the classes and subclasses, the game is over. There is literally no reason to keep playing. Even just a little bit of endgame content will bring enough people back, because that's where everyone stopped. Repetitiveness and grinding is probably my most annoying issue. It's pretty much what's prevented me from even wanting to get to level 40 in the first place, because even after playing so long, I have not. They did update the game so there's more quests, but that kind of tailored towards the early game and didn't really help my case. Even at like level 33 or 32, there's one main quest that'll get you maybe a third of your XP, and then you're back to grinding the rest of your XP. It's just not fun to do. It really is not. Social and PvP features literally will bring this game to life. I cannot stress enough that that aspect was pretty much the sole reason I was so hyped for the game. This game takes a lot of inspiration from Sword Art Online. It's referenced as a meme, but it's kind of true. The first MMO where you're in person and can talk to people and interact with them. Just adding player housing or some roleplay elements can bring this game to life in a different light than what they expected. Personally, for me, social aspects were the reason I would want to play. Acting out maybe a roleplay or a storyline in this game is possible, and it's really interesting to see how that would turn out. PvP is also a part of this, and I know it's probably really difficult to balance not only PvP, but the syncing of enemies to normal players. But you look at other games and they do it very well. And I know the dev team is small, so I gotta give them credit for even making the enemies sync up in the first place. PvP would be an important thing added because it would make people actually want to become more skilled at the game. You can find out who the best player is. It adds competition and excitement to find out who that player is, and it'll just bring life to the game. Now, I know the dev team is very small and they are hiring, but there is an extreme lack of updates. I can only recall 1 or 2 meaningful patches after this game came out. I know the one added a lot of quests, but it's still tailored toward the early game and didn't really change much for the people who left. But my biggest problem isn't really with the lack of updates. It's the fact that they tease updates but never put them out. Let's take an example. They announced the Cyber Ninja class, the 3rd class for Zenith, on February 2nd. It is now March 17th. Not only have they not released it, but they announced legendary armor alongside it. There's just a problem here when you keep announcing things without delivering them. It doesn't bring as much hype as it does despair and uncertainty for the actual game. I think if we even had an approximate date, it would fix a lot of these issues, but we don't, and we're stuck waiting with a game that we don't want to play. And this new class is movement based and will add so much dynamic to the game, and it'll make it really fun. I had ideas for videos, but the class never came, and by now my views have already dropped off so hard that it's kind of complicated whether I can even keep doing challenge videos or make informative videos that'll get me views for the long run. At least until the game gets more updates and we get back into the swing of things. Oh, and the last thing is beta to release. I did alpha and beta test, and alpha test was in like April, but the beta test was a problem. And no, the beta test went fine. The game felt way better than alpha. Alpha was super buggy. No enemy would lose line of sight of you. You would just be followed forever. And as soon as an enemy started to attack you, whether you teleported or moved or dodged, it would still hit you. It was very buggy, but it was expected from an alpha. It didn't change how fun and game-changing this game was. But the beta came, and obviously I hadn't played for like at least 10 months, so I was super excited to get back into it. And the game was just as fun as I remembered, although there wasn't too much different. But the game was fixed and polished enough that it was way more enjoyable and like an actual game that could be ready for launch. But I think they took that too literally, because pretty much after beta 2, they announced the game was releasing in like a week. As soon as this came up, I was actually terrified, because multiple times when I was talking to people, I stated this game is not ready for release. There was a big lack of content to bring you coming back after you've actually played the game. You could probably get level 40 throughout the week you have playing. I was expecting more than what we had, because being able to get pretty close to level 40 in 1 week kind of just concerned me for an MMO, but that's how they released it. And you could tell it really wasn't ready. And that's not to say this game isn't going to get crazy big in the future with some important, meaningful updates. But even if just a little bit more was added, like endgame content, way more people would still be playing. However, this game really doesn't have a challenger, so it isn't like this game is just gonna fall off the face of the earth. No game starts at its peak, and Zenith is a huge example. Without a game to rival this, they can bring people back really easily. So it's not a game that I or you should give up on and forget. Whether you want to play right now shouldn't change the fact that you should be looking forward to these updates that are gonna come in the future. And you should definitely give Zenith a chance when they do. If you got this far, I would love to know your concerns with the game and what they could do. I think it's important to bring to light, the mistakes they took with this game, but I do love the game and I will commit this channel to this game. I want to be there when this game gets big. I have tons of faith in the dev team and the game itself to just shoot up to the top, and I will support this game even through its lowest point.